Hi, everyone, and welcome back to In the Vet's Office. I am your host, Dr. Josie, and today I have a very special guest. She is no stranger to the mic. She's a key member of the Bobby Bones Show, known for her sharp wit, her impressive production skills, and, of course, her role as Morgan #2. Most importantly, she is a dog and a cat mom. Welcome to In the Vet's Office, Morgan Huelsman.
Hi. If you heard a little bit of moaning and groaning, I believe it was Remi on the microphone over here.
Morgan brought, I'm actually very excited because this is a BYOD or C, bring your own dog and cat to the podcast. And we haven't been able to do that because we've been in the iHeart studio, but we're turning things around because you've brought both.
I decided why not bring my whole zoo with me for you?
It's amazing. We've got Remi here who is sitting on your lap. And then we've got your little kitty, Hazel. She is in her is she in her backpack?
Yep. She's in her space backpack. I like to call her the astronaut kitty when she's in there.
It's amazing. I love those. People bring their cats and we're actually going to talk about this, and all different crazy things to the vet. And this is one of my favorite, the little space backpacks.
I feel like it's the most that she's comfortable in versus if I tried to bring her in a crate or a blanket, her and I are both going to have a hard time.
Yeah, exactly. And when you're carrying them, I feel like in the crate's like bonking on your side and the cat's in there like getting a concussion. So the backpacks are great.
Yes. No, they're perfect.
Highly recommend. Okay, well, before we dive into all things Remi and Hazel, I always like to start this podcast with a case of the week. So without further ado, this was a case that happened to me when I was practicing in Chicago. I actually never saw this patient because the owner was getting out of the car, walking through the parking lot with their cat. I'm trying to remember the cat's name. This was like almost 10 years ago now. It was a little girl kitty. And
what kind of kitty?
It was just a gray tabby.
Okay.
Beautiful little gray tabby. Again, I never met her because as the owner was coming into the clinic, the cat was in her arms, jumped out of her arms, and ran away.
No.
And this cat was missing for weeks. Everyone at the clinic went outside. We're all calling for the kitty, looking everywhere for her. She was missing for weeks. Finally, maybe 2 or 3 weeks later, the owner gets a call, and the cat was 50 miles away outside of the city of Chicago in Aurora, Illinois. And someone found her on the streets and was able to take her into the vet. They checked her microchip, and they got her back to her owner.
See, this is why microchips are so important.
Exactly.
Animals can travel so many miles.
Exactly. And actually, this made me think because I just read a story on the internet not too long ago of a cat that was going to Yosemite, a very well-traveled cat, with his owners. And the cat, his name is Rainbow, ran away. I think something startled him. He ran into the forest. The owners stayed at Yosemite for days looking for him. Finally, they're like, okay, well, we have to go back home. So they drive all the way back to California. And I think it was like maybe 2 or 3 months later, this cat made it 900 miles from Yosemite to Northern California, only like 2 hours from his home. Like, I think he was trying to get home. And another owner found him on the streets, took him in, and they got him back to his owner.
That is so crazy. Also, just an animal's intuition.
Amazing.
I've seen so many stories where you're like, there's no way.
Right.
But then you see him do it. And,
right.
And you get it.
Like,
just
how
smart animals.
Did he know? I mean, 900 miles is crazy to think about, but how did he know to go west?
Exactly. In the right direction. Their sense of smell stuff is crazy too. Like that, their ability to just utilize a smell and just stay on track of it is crazy.
They're so much smarter than we give them credit for.
They absolutely are, which is why when you try and train them and they don't allow it, they are choosing to do that.
Correct. I'm like, wait a second. So you're just telling me no.
Yeah, it's like, Hazel loves to hang out on countertops all the time. And I've tried to train it out of her, and she just refuses to listen to me. And that is a choice.
She just is like, no, this is my house.
Mm-hmm.
You just pay the rent.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Cats, that's like one of the big things that I hear owners talk about all the time is cats getting on the countertops. They're so frustrated by it. I mean, I guess if you think about it, your cat's going in their litter box and then potentially like jumping onto your kitchen counter afterwards, which probably is not the best thing in the world, but it's so hard to keep them from getting up there.
Oh, yeah. I tried the foil thing, and Hazel came from a rough background, so I think she was actually used to counters being her bed, and that's where she laid, so she doesn't really know much different.
What was her background?
She was found as part of a 130 cat hoarding situation in Mississippi.
Were they in a house?
Yeah, they were in all one home together, and I think there's also some deceased. The 130 were the ones that were alive.
Oh, my gosh.
And she came out... the Humane Society of America, I believe that's what they're called, is the one that came in and like got all of these animals, but then multiple shelters across the country took some in, and Nashville Humane took in 30 of them, and Hazel was one of them.
Wow. Was she, how old was she when you?
She was 8.
Okay.
Which was crazy. I didn't really know. I had just told somebody there that I really wanted a Siamese and I wanted to adopt. So if any Siamese came in, just kind of let me know. I'd foster, because I had no idea how Remi was going to like cats.
Right.
Remi had been an only child her whole life.
Right.
So I was like, I'll foster and we'll try it. I never asked age. I just took her in and tried it out and had no intention of figuring out, like, okay, what's her health? What's her backstory? I just kind of took her in, and as she's getting done with a dental surgery, she had to have all of her teeth but one little snaggle tooth pulled.
Funny you say that. The minute you said Siamese, I'm like, oh, I bet she has bad dental disease. They're like one of my poster children for having dental problems.
Yes, and so when I first got her, they're like, yeah, she needs like dental, and they gave her back to me. This poor cat only has her one little just snaggle tooth that hangs out.
Not the snaggle tooth. I will say, for all the listeners out there, if your cat or your dog has to have multiple teeth extracted, they do amazing. I think a big misconception for us is like, oh my gosh, how are they going to chew? How are they going to do this? And they do amazing without teeth. So they're not really out there hunting for their food. They'll be just fine.
Yeah, Hazel gums it, and now Remi just had 2 teeth pulled recently too. So she's also leaning into her gumming side, but she still has all 4 of her canines. So we're at least working with that.
Yeah, there you go.
But yeah, they're both little old ladies now, and they're amazing. Both of them are.
Did you notice a difference in her personality after her dental?
It was hard because I was fostering her, and she still really hadn't come out of her shell. And so she did start to come out of her shell after that some more. I think that helped significantly, and at least her starting to trust me that she was starting to feel better. And Remi too, like I had tried everything. We've talked about this. Like, I brushed Remi's teeth every single night. I did everything I could to keep Remi's teeth healthy. And yet still, it just happened.
Yeah.
She happens to have some breeds in her that's where it is.
She's
and
prone to it.
So I took her in, and she ended up having to have 2 of her teeth pulled and the rest cleaned. And she always acts like a puppy. I think just a testament to me really taking care of her health. But even more so now, she's like, we're playing all the time.
Yeah. She's like, this is amazing.
Yes.
She does act like a puppy. I can't believe she's 10.
Oh, nobody ever believes it.
No.
They see her, and she's adorable.
She comes waddling in. She's got like the little puppy like booty wiggle going on.
Oh, yeah. What I call her helicopter tail, it goes all the time.
Yeah, exactly. She could get some air with that thing.
She could.
Okay, back to Hazel really quick, because I'm so interested in this hoarding situation.
Yeah.
Was this was one person that had all these cats in their house?
Yeah, to my understanding.
And when she came to,
Sweet girl.
it's so interesting because people adopt pets all the time, and we may not know their backgrounds, and it's really, I think, kind of a beautiful thing. When they first come to you, they're kind of a shell of themselves, and then you really start to see their personalities. How long do you feel like it took for her to really start like warming up and coming into her own in your house?
I really feel like it took at least 6 months till we really kind of started to establish a relationship. She's going to go on the board.
Comes.
Hazel is wandering the studio. We are getting brave now.
If the mic goes out, it's because of Paul.
Yeah.
Is there cat food in here?
No.
Am I smelling cat food?
It could be her little like body though.
Okay.
You know, who knows? It also could be her little thing. I think I've put treats in her little
maybe I'm
backpack
smelling cat
before.
treats.
But she, it took her a long time, and even still to this day, like, she loves people. If somebody starts petting her, she'll push herself into you to continue being petted. But she's definitely unsure of environments, and she's not sure what's happening around her. She also came to me with, she was already starting to lose her sight, but we just recently confirmed she definitely has cataracts. So she's not seeing super well, which also doesn't add to that.
Yeah.
So I think a lot of those factors took her a little bit longer to adjust. But once she did, man, I mean, and she's great with kids. She's been around my niece and nephew who she adored and wanted them to pick her up and love on her.
That is very unusual.
Yeah, like she really, really came out of her shell, and she loves, if you just even start petting her a little bit, she just purrs constantly. Just constant purr.
I think when we talked about this a little bit before we started recording, is that a big bonus here is that she is Siamese, and for all the Siamese owners out there, they'll tell you they are like dogs. And so it'd be interesting, if she wasn't Siamese, if she would have adapted that quickly, because they are like so social and they love to be around people and interact. So I feel like her true nature is probably able to come out.
I think so too. It's funny. There's so many people who are like, I'm not a cat person. I'm like, but you had a Siamese? Because they will make you cat people. Because they're so social and how they interact with the world, and like even just, she mimics Remi. They'll both greet me at the back door. Hazel will open cabinets to communicate with me that she is hungry.
Right.
She is very much a
She's so cute.
little adventurer, and she just loves to like act like a dog, very much so. So I think I've just always been used to that with cats and that personality. I don't even know a bad cat because I've just always had this experience.
Yeah. Oh, they're the best. And they also are very vocal. We call them like the huskies of or of cats, I should say, because they're always like meow, 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 meow. Like they will have a full blown conversation.
Yep. If I meow back, she'll meow. We'll sit there and meow at each other. And I'm like, I don't know what we're saying, but this is fun.
She's like, oh, yes, tell me more about the weather.
Yep, exactly. There's something going on. But yeah, the funniest part, though, is between her and Remi, though, Hazel loves to open cabinets when it's food time. And Remi loves to bark at her when she does that because we're not supposed to do that in the household. Remi's very much the sheriff. And so it's this funny dynamic that happens 3 times a day at my house. And every time it's like Hazel says, Mom, food time, cabinet's open. Remi barks at her, and then if I don't listen, she then comes and sits in front of me and barks until I feed both of them.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
They're really tag teaming it.
Oh, they absolutely are.
I feel as though this is not your home. This is their home, and you are just
I just pay for everything, honestly. That's it.
Exactly.
Everything else is theirs.
I love it. Now, okay, so Remi is the sheriff, and I'm curious because I see her, and immediately I was like, I wonder what breeds she is. What did you DNA test her?
Yeah. So funny enough, when I went in, I was volunteering at a shelter when she came in as a stray puppy, and on her little tag, her name was Vulprix.
Vulprix?
Yep. A Pokemon name.
Okay, I'm like, am I missing something?
I didn't know it either.
Okay.
I had to Google. I was like,
she
who
does
came
kind
up
of look
with
like
that?
a Pokemon.
A little bit.
Yeah.
I love to call her an Ewok. She
Okay.
looks very much like an Ewok from Star Wars.
Totally.
But it said Vulprix, and it also said Maltese mix. Well, my parents at the time had a Maltese, and they adored her. They were looking kind of to get another dog. It's like, oh my gosh, she's adorable. This would be perfect. My parents come to meet her, and we're all out in the yard together, and Remi is just not leaving my side. They're like, Morgan, that's your dog. Like, she chose you. I mean, we love her. She's adorable, but she's chosen you. And so I'm like, okay, whatever. And of course, I ended up going on to adopt her. But as I'm leaving, they're like, that's going to be a big dog. She has big paws. And I was like, it said Maltese mix. And now you're telling me we're going to have a big dog. So which one is it?
You really never know.
No, you really don't. And at that point, I was like, well, I already adopted her. Whatever's going to happen is going to happen.
I've already been chosen, so it's happening.
This is what it is. And as she got bigger, it was funny when I actually adopted her, she was all black. She had all black fur.
I'm like making guesses in my head of what I think she might be. Okay, all black.
Yep. So I'm giving you clues and then you can guess and I'll tell you.
Okay.
So she was all black, and then kind of as she got a little bit older, she was a little bit more tan.
Okay.
And now she's kind of grown into this kind of more white beige and with still a little bit of her black on it.
Does she have Wheaten Terrier in her?
She does not.
Okay.
Everybody thought she did.
I could totally see that.
She has the coloring of a Wheaten Terrier.
She does. Does she have Terrier in her?
No.
No, really?
Well, there could potentially be a version depending on how you identify one of these breeds.
Okay. A Yorkie, I guess, would be.
Not a Yorkie.
Hold on. Where are you at? Come back over here. I gotta look at you.
Hey, Remi. She's laying like a little rug under. Hey,
does
can
she
you go
shed?
No, she does not shed. Can you go to
does she
Dr.
have Shih
Josie?
Tzu in her?
No Shih Tzu. Mm-mm. There she comes.
Havanese?
Nope.
Lhasa Apso? Remi, what are you? I would have guessed $1 million she would have. Oh, you're so gorgeous. Hi. Okay, I need to know.
Okay, she's a poodle.
Okay, yes. Poodle.
And a cavalier.
And a cavy. Okay.
And she has 12% Chihuahua in her.
Oh, my favorite breed. She's a Cavapoo with a Chihuahua.
I'm not really sure where the Cavapoo comes into play. Maybe when she barks is about the only time I really kind of hear it. But she's not very loud. She's not a chatty dog at all. So definitely
Cavapoo.
Yeah, definitely more of the Cavapoo with the hua at the very end.
You know, people pay a lot of money for those.
I know.
She's an expensive girl, but we got her for free $99.
Yeah.
I love that. I guess, yeah, now that you say that, that makes sense. But the whole like changing of the coat is very Wheaten Terrier-esque.
Yeah, very much so. That's why for a long time I really thought she was. And so many Wheaten Terrier owners would come up to her and be like, "You're a puppy, Wheaten Terrier." I'm like, "No, this is an adult dog."
You're like, "She's 9."
Yeah. And no, she's not either a Wheaten Terrier. It's crazy. I don't get it. And everybody always thinks she's a puppy, and everybody always thinks that she's like 3 years old.
Well, that's amazing. She's got the eternal puppy face and like butt wiggle. I love it.
She does. The butt wiggle is signature of Remi too as well.
It's to die for. So you guys do volunteering together.
Yeah. We're a therapy animal team.
Okay. And tell me about that.
Remi and I, when I first got her, so we kind of went through the very big puppy woe phase, where, what did I get myself into?
I definitely know about this. This is really important for other listeners to hear because I think people feel alone in that. Where the first puppy visit, they come in and they're like, oh my gosh, this is like the best. This puppy's so cute. It sleeps all day long. And then they come in for their second puppy visit 4 weeks later and they're like, what the hell have I done? This is so much work. And I feel like they're like, is this a bad puppy? Is it me? Is it them? And I'm here to tell you, like, it is a very universal feeling. You are not alone.
Yes. I love to say that any puppy or kitten at that phase is like a toddler and they don't speak. So you're not going to understand them or what they want. You just have to constantly kind of guess.
Yeah.
And also training them to potty outside is a nightmare in itself.
Full-time job.
It is. I think I got maybe 2 hours of sleep every night for the first several weeks of that experience.
Yeah, it's rough.
And I lasted 1 day with her being in her kennel at night before I was like, just sleep in the freaking bed and wear a diaper and then I'll take you out every 2 hours. This is what we're going to do.
Like, I need my beauty sleep.
I do. This is not working for either one of us.
Right.
So after she got kind of through her puppy phase, she was about like 6 months. She had had all her shots and stuff. And I took her to a puppy class. We went through basic puppy just socialization together. And then from there, we did basic training. And she started to love that. I started to really notice she loved just us being a team together. And then we went to advanced training after that. Each of these were like 6-week courses. And it was us together. So I wasn't sending her off or anything. We were just as a team working on training. And after the advanced, one of the instructors had come over and be like, she's a really great dog. I don't know if you'd ever be interested, but you should look into therapy work at some point. And I did. And I thought about it, but they had to be at least over 2 years old because that helps make sure the puppy stuff is out of them, because therapy dogs go into hospitals and retirement communities and schools, all kinds of situations, and they have to be very gentle. And being a puppy is not very gentle.
No, they're like, let me parkour off this elderly man.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
And so I sat on it for a few years, and then it was like right before COVID, I found a place called Therapy Arc here in Nashville, and I was like, well, just go try the test. We'll see if you even pass the exam to do this. Mm-hmm. And she passed with flying colors. She loved it. She immediately even knew to go into a room and go up to every single person that was in the room without even having been trained.
That's so cool. What else was like in the test?
They also see, like, are they able to sit on command? Like, do they listen to your commands very well? Are they pulling a lot? Or do you have control over them in situations? Are they more gentle, more calm? How do they interact with people? How does the person interact with people? Because I think what people forget in the therapy animal team is that it's both you and the dog.
Right.
So, or you and the animal. We have giant rabbits that are also therapy teams. We have cats that are therapy teams. It can kind of be any type of animal.
Giant rabbits are a dream come true.
They're the size of Remi. They're both the same pound.
People don't realize they're huge and they're so amazing.
They are, and they're so fluffy.
And they're big long ears. Oh.
Yeah, the therapy woman who has them, she always pushes them around in a stroller, and it's the cutest thing ever.
God.
I love it. So they can be any kind, but as long as they have this very gentle demeanor. And so Remi passed that with flying colors through to go into the training program, which we did for 6 weeks together. And why I say it's so important on the human side, because when you take the final exam together, it's this whole process. You have to know how to go on elevators. You have to be able to avoid temptation, like toys and TREATs. I can't say that word out loud.
Okay.
You have to just have all of these, basically be a good canine citizen, but then also just have this extra layer of a calm demeanor and a loving animal.
Right.
And so when we went through training, they were like, you're going to interact as a human with the people more than actually Remi is. Remi's just the kind of the gateway to get them to start talking to people or have interactions. And they weren't wrong.
You're a huge part of the equation.
Yeah. And if I don't know how to communicate and I don't know how to listen to them or ask them questions or engage in conversation, then we're both just going to be sitting there and it's not going to do anybody any good. So it was very much a testament, one, to our bond together, but also just having the ability to be wanting to communicate with people. Mm-hmm. And she was just kind of that mode of transportation, if you will.
That is so special. And something you said is that it's a testament to your bond. And I find that the owners that really do invest time in training and doing activities like this, the bond that they have with their animal, I mean, yes, everybody's bond with their animals is very strong, but it's just enhanced even more.
It is. I can sense almost immediately when Remi's not feeling well. She can tell when something's going on with me. We just have it's a much deeper connection than just your basic pet and human love, which is already so big.
Right.
But Remi and I just on a different level are like, we're literally soulmates in a way. Right. Is how I see it. And Hazel's coming into that equation too. But like Hazel and I have a different bond because we weren't able to bond when she was really little. And we didn't go through all these training courses and things together. So it's a different type of bond.
It is. But that's really special.
Yeah.
One thing you said is you can tell when she's off. And recently we had a little bit of an episode where I got a phone call from you. Was it like 7 a.m? Was it from you? Or maybe Bobby texted me and was like, you need to talk to Morgan too right now.
Yeah.
Tell us about that.
Well, so it's very rare that I don't come into work. If I don't come into work, something's wrong. Like I make a point to always be here. And I texted Scuba, who's our EP, and I was like, I'm pretty sure Remi's about to have an allergic reaction. I cannot leave until this is under control. I'm hoping it will be soon, but I don't know when that's going to be. And then I guess he told Bobby, and Bobby texted me and was like, is Remi okay? And I was like, at this moment, yes, but I don't think it's going to go well as this progresses. And I was right. She started to blow up like a balloon, like her whole body, because Miss Remi is allergic to everything. And something or another, it wasn't anything that she particularly ate because her food we've gotten that out of the equation, but she's allergic to so many environmental factors. She's allergic to grass. So
that's kind of hard to eliminate.
It's everywhere. And this dog loves to roll in it on purpose. So we do really great at avoiding our allergies.
Yeah.
But so something got on her and she just blew up. Her whole eyes and her mouth and her little body, she had hives all over. Her whole face was red. She was getting to the point where she wasn't going to be able to breathe very well.
There's a couple of things as an owner that are really scary. And one of them is watching your dog have like a very acute allergic reaction. You feel very helpless and they're becoming more and more swollen. And you're like, what do I do? I almost feel you're like running around in circles. Like, do I go to the vet? Do I not go to the vet? And just trying to figure out what in the heck you're supposed to do.
Yeah. And it's really terrifying because I feel like that. And I've watched so many CPR pet videos to be prepared in case that ever happened. Those are the two scenarios where I just feel like you feel so helpless because you're going to try everything you can, but it may not work.
Right.
And sometimes you either live close to a vet or you don't. Or like in our case, we have you who is a concierge vet and who does amazing work, but some places don't have that.
Yeah, my like general rule of thumb for listeners is if your dog is starting to swell up, their eyes are starting to swell, their muzzle's swollen, you want to seek veterinary care, whether that's calling me or calling your vet clinic and just checking in with them. Something that you want to take really seriously. And just like you did, like I never would have left her at home alone because we have seen them get so swollen that their airways start to close, they can't breathe, and it can be life-threatening. So it's not something to take lightly.
Yeah, and it's a really struggle. I feel for the people out there who are like single pet owners because I don't have anybody at home that I can say, hey, I have to go to work and you can stay here or we can flip-flop or whatever. It's just me. So in that situation, I can't call work and be like, hey, yeah, I'll be there. I'm like, no, this is me. This is on me. And I'm really sorry, but this is my priority right now.
Yeah,
and it's hard to make that call, but you have to.
It's really hard to make that call, but being a pet owner means, making them your priority. And sometimes you have to make sacrifices. And so, yeah, I applaud you for doing the right thing. Did she end up coming to the studio that day or no?
So she did come up to the studio because then I was able to get her into my vet. And so she had actually, what we found out, she had an allergic reaction to a flea bite. And whatever flea medication stuff she was on wasn't working anymore. She had either been on it for so long that it just stopped working for her or it was no longer strong enough. We don't really know, but we basically gave her one of the pills that you can do immediately that gets that to kind of start activating. And then I had to wait a couple weeks and just bathe her. I was bathing her like every 3 days in the Dawn's dish soap. You just see a little tail in the microphone. That was Hazel. Dawn dish soap like every 3 days. And then finally we got to a point where I could give her some new medication. And now we haven't had that issue again. But
we just did a whole episode with Dr. Isabella this season about allergies and our
saw
pets.
This. Yes.
I feel like is made for Remi and Hazel. And we talked about how one flea bite, because the saliva of the flea is what causes allergic reactions, and our pets can send a pet into a full allergic spiral. So she's like textbook for for that sort of response.
Oh, and I did on both of them. Which I'm sure you probably heard of, the 5 strands allergy. Oh, are they having a little fight over there? They might be. Come here, Remi. Leave Hazel alone.
It's okay.
They love to fight.
They're playing.
Sometimes.
They're doing sibling love. I think my foot got in the middle of that. Oh, Hazel,
I told
okay.
you, Remi,
stand your ground.
Remi's the sheriff.
Stand your ground.
And Hazel has a really great left-right hook.
I know those little videos. I don't know if people out there watch these, or maybe it's just me, of the cats that are like hitting pawing the dogs is so funny to me.
She's so good at it. Like literally just left, right away.
Yeah.
I'm like, girlfriend, we got to make sure those nails are always cut.
Keep the nails in.
Yes.
And it's really cute. When the nails come out, it's very scary.
It is. They have very long nails, and she's not declawed. I would never do that to her, but I have to cut her nails every week, and thankfully she's really good about it.
That was
but
amazing.
now I don't remember what you had asked me.
What were we talking about?
We had a dog cat fight happen in the thing, little sibling rivalry.
Shit is hitting the fan in the vet's office. I can't actually remember what we were just talking about.
Donges, the flea tail. Okay,
Thanks,
yes.
Morgan.
Yes. Oh,
And
5
fleas.
strands. So
5 strands, yes.
I had found this environmental. Remi, leave Hazel alone. Literally dog and cat fight in here. There's a 5 strands allergy and environmental test that you can do with like the follicles of their hair. And I sent it in for both of them. And, I just got really blessed that I have 2 animals that are allergic to everything. I changed both of their diets. I did all kinds of things.
The whole shebang.
Yeah.
To stay consistent with the episode that I did, I don't really love those tests.
Interesting.
The hair and blood tests they're like the over-the-counter ones that you can buy off of Amazon.
Yeah.
They're not super accurate.
Okay, good
So I
to
wouldn't
know.
put like a ton of weight into them. But if you're making the changes and you're seeing improvement, that's great. Otherwise, if you're not, Remi's like, what? Come on.
Hey, Hazel.
I'm changing everything.
Remi.
What's going on? Do I need to pick one of you up?
Hazel just like sits there, and I told you, Remi is the sheriff. If Hazel does anything, I know.
Oh,
Why don't you go
Remi.
back in there?
Hazel, get in your backpack.
We have only child syndrome is definitely a thing.
She's like, wait a second, you're telling me this test didn't work all that for nothing?
Yeah, I really paid attention to the ones that were in the red that were super intense.
Okay.
More than I focused on all the other ones.
Yeah.
I was like, which things can we start to kind of pull out that seem to be just so overacting?
Mm-hmm.
And that's kind of what I took from it.
That's fair.
Because honestly, other than that, it's very overwhelming.
It is very overwhelming. I'm not sure how accurate they are, so I think taking them with a grain of salt.
So if that's something that isn't super accurate, how do you determine allergies for animals? Like, how is that?
The most accurate way is to do intradermal testing. Like how you and I, if we went to the allergist, they would prick you, like all those little pricks, and seeing what you flare up to.
Oh my gosh, these poor animals. There's no way.
Oh, we do it all the time.
Really?
I don't do it, but the veterinary dermatologists do it. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And like the animals are okay with it?
Yeah.
I don't even feel like I would be okay with it. That's why I say that. I'd be a huge baby.
Honestly, the animals are better because I feel like we are like, oh my gosh, this is so scary. I hate needles, blah, 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 blah. And animals, like it's such a teeny tiny, like they don't even really feel the prick. They don't have that like preconceived notion that we do. So they typically do great. So yeah, they can make allergy shots and allergy drops, but that's really the most accurate way if you're like, I really want to get to the bottom of what is causing them to be allergic.
Okay. Well, and I do think so much of Hazel's has started to get better. I think Hazel was just changing honestly to a healthy diet and having enough food in her system and a lot of the things from her past.
Especially coming from the hoarding situation, it's like hard to even know what her baseline is. So.
Exactly. So I think we're getting back to there. With Remi, Remi's always been allergic to different foods. And that was really where a lot of her started as a puppy. She would start to react to different things. So I've gotten used to having to change her diet a lot.
You're like, I am used to this.
I am. So at least the diet side, we've done well. And I, like I said, it gave me knowledge instead of not having any.
Absolutely.
But I
not
can totally
saying it's
see
wrong, but just, there's other options out there. So if you're ever like, hey, I feel like we could do more, or she still seems to be really suffering, there's always that option.
That's crazy. I never even knew they did that.
I know.
Like,
it is crazy.
well, because most places will be like, well, we can do allergy shots. I'm like, well, I don't want to keep her, and I want to help her, not just,
right.
quick fix right now. I want to know what it is we're doing.
Right, get to the bottom of it.
Yeah.
The other thing, too, is you could always try, we talked about this with Dr. Isabella, but you could always try the hypoallergenic food. And where they do a diet trial, and they eat that and only that for 8 weeks. They don't eat anything else. And then by week 8, if they really do have a food allergy, you would see pretty like big improvement.
Interesting.
Mm-hmm.
We may have to try that, although I'm not sure Remi would approve of that. Remi really likes to eat cheese.
Like, wait a second.
She'd be like, I don't get any of this anymore.
It is the hardest part is like sticking with the plan, especially people that have like toddlers and they're throwing things over their high chair. But if you can get on the same page, and I tell owners it's only for 8 weeks, and then at the end of it, do they have a food allergy or not, it's definitely worth it.
Well, and it's funny because Remi's always been, I always joke that, especially in Hazel, when she came into the picture, they have a better diet than I do.
Mm-hmm.
Like, they eat the healthiest food that you can possibly find. Hazel eats 2 different types of canned food of all kinds of different flavors that I rotate all the time because she doesn't like the same one multiple days in a row.
Yeah.
And they're like a super healthy brand. And then Remi gets half of this brand called The Honest Kitchen, and then half of a human food that I make, which is mixture of turkey and sweet potatoes, green beans, and carrots.
They're living the dream.
The most best foods you could possibly be giving, and it's a lot. It's a lot to keep up with, and Remi also has to have supplements and just different things to help her as she's gotten older.
It's a huge undertaking cooking for your pets too.
It is.
I tell owners, I'm like, that is a lot of work. People don't. I mean, I can't even food prep for myself, let alone my animals. So
that's why I say I've gotten really good for Remi and Hazel, but look at me. I'm like, nah, I'm fine. But they can do
I'll
it.
just go to Taco Bell.
Literally, I'm like, this is so not how we all need to be doing this.
Yes,
but,
exactly.
You know.
Oh well, I love that. Do they sleep in your bed with you?
Remi does. As you just heard the little scuffle between them, Remi doesn't really allow Hazel to come sleep in the bed.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes she will if she's so tired she doesn't pay attention. Because Hazel's a little sneaky. But yeah, Remi does. And Hazel would love to whenever she does. Especially when I go back home, they both sleep in the same bed together. But for some reason at my house, this is not a thing.
So when you travel back to your hometown, they'll sleep in the same bed together.
Yep,
They're like,
problem.
we're not in our normal environment. We've got to band together.
It's kind of like that. And because my parents have 3 dogs and they both kind of like their space. And they like being a little independent. So I think they choose to be together versus separate on that.
That's totally fair.
But then we go back home and it's all back to normal.
For this week only, we are on the same team.
It's funny how that works.
And then when we get home, it's over.
Are you about to tell me not to let her sleep in the
bed? No.
Okay.
I'm definitely not. I feel like I'm like the bearer of bad news. No, I have 3 dogs. 2 of them sleep on the floor because they just get hot at night. And then my little one's like wrapped around my head.
See, and I get it. I know there's like, you sleep better or whatever. I'm like, honestly, I don't know that I would sleep better. I'd be like, Where are you? Why won't you cuddle me? I like having you to snuggle.
I love to sleep with my little dog. Biggie is his name. It's the best thing
his name's Biggie and he's a small dog.
And he's tiny, I know. His name when we adopted him was Baby Bear.
Baby Bear.
And he only came to the name Baby. And my husband was like, I am not calling this dog Baby. So we called him Biggie because it sounds, similar to Baby. Yeah.
And he comes to Biggie though.
He's totally, Biggie is for sure his name now. But no, like he's like my little space heater and he's so cuddly. No, I'm all about, if you want your pets to sleep in your bed with you, I support you.
It's funny too, when I'm on the couch hanging out with both of them, like Remi will be cuddled like she's Little Spoon with me. And if I'm like kind of turned at all, Hazel will be in between my knees, like back. And I'm just like, well, we're here until one of you moves.
You're like, I am just going to have to hold it for the next 12 hours.
That's exactly. And sometimes I will fall asleep on the couch. If we're all peacefully sleeping there, I'm like, I'm just going to sleep on the couch tonight.
It's the best. Mm-hmm. There's no better feeling.
There really isn't. And I know there will come a day that I'm going to miss that. So I'm going to soak it up every time that I can.
100%. So you're single. Have you ever dated anyone that didn't get along or like your pets?
Yeah.
Really?
No, I didn't date him for very long. Let's put it that way.
I don't know why I'm saying really. Like, I asked the question.
Yeah, no, it didn't last very long. That's honestly one of my first questions before I even really start to consider even going on a date with someone is if they like animals. Because I am a massive animal lover. Me and your producer of this podcast have had this conversation. I can't date a hunter, which is funny because I can't. I could if it was like out of sight, out of mind. You never bring it home.
Yeah.
But I just know most hunters, that's not the lifestyle.
No.
And I love animals so much that if you don't, we're just going to be vastly on different scales. And you're also not going to understand me as a human being.
1,000%. It's like in your DNA, I feel like, if you're an animal lover and, all of your values, like finances, children, all of that, of course, is super important. But like, if you don't like animals, that is right up there.
Oh, yeah. And it's funny. I dated one guy and he had all kinds of red flags. But he was actually really good to my animals. But something that's really important to me is that if I see a stray animal, I am going to find a way to get it, and I'm going to get it to safety.
Mm-hmm.
That's just, all my plans will be curtailed. I don't care.
Correct.
And we were headed to dinner, and I saw a dog, and I was like, pull over right now. Like, I'm going to go find out. And he was like, no, we're not. And we're going to keep going. And I sobbed about this dog. I had never met in my life, but I was like, this is not going to work for me. And I remember like sitting in that car being like, this is so important to me that I can't overlook this.
Mm-hmm.
We broke up for a multitude of other reasons, but that was something that really stuck in my brain for future partners.
Yeah.
They have to be okay with this part of who I am.
I feel like you at the first date need to be like, would you or would you not stop on the side of the road for a stray animal?
Literally.
Check yes, check no. Just save us some time.
Josie, there's also people that I've met who like purposely hit squirrels.
Oh, don't tell me that.
Like I'm not kidding. Like they'll see possums or something. I'm like, stop. What is that animal doing to you?
I'm calling 911 on them.
That's how I feel.
Not only am I not going to date you, you're going to jail.
See?
That is horrible.
Oh, the toothpaste one's funny. The toothpaste story is funny.
What's this?
So I did date a guy, and I brushed Remi's teeth every single night. Miss Hazel doesn't have to have her teeth brushed because she doesn't have
no
any.
teeth.
But Remi gets her teeth brushed every night, and it is with my toothpaste, so I never forget that this is something I have to do.
Right.
Well, I was dating a guy, and we were at the point of he was staying over, and he had went into my bathroom to brush his teeth, and he came out, and he was like, oh, that toothpaste is super weird. And I was like, what are you talking about? I have Colgate. Like, why is it weird? He's like, in the green bottle, and I was like, can you show me which one you use?
Oh.
And he comes out, and I'm like, it literally says dog toothpaste on this bottle.
You're like, you just brush your teeth with the dog's toothpaste.
I did.
And you may or may not be illiterate because it says dog toothpaste.
I'm like, it says it right. Vet's Best dog enzyme toothpaste.
Wait, that is disgusting. They like put like chicken flavor in there.
Yeah. That's why it tasted a little weird for this poor guy. And I was like, I'm really sorry, but that is not my toothpaste. And he's like, noted.
No. Did you guys?
We didn't work out for other reasons, but I'm not sure if that did or did not play a part in that. It's very possible it did.
That is hilarious. I have never heard of an owner brushing their teeth with dog toothpaste.
Well, and I didn't. That's the best part. It's in my thing all the time. But yeah, that poor guy. I think about him often.
If you're listening to this, sir, we are sending you our condolences, our thoughts and prayers. Please,
very sorry.
You might want to use some extra mouthwash.
I might have to make sure I also change that up next time I date a man to have separate toothpaste places.
I don't know. I kind of feel like that's like a good test.
It is a little bit.
Are you aware of your surroundings? Can you read the labels?
Apparently we don't pay attention. That's okay.
Yeah, if you start brushing your teeth and it tastes like chicken, are you going to stop?
Yeah.
Dang. Okay. This is good to know. Remi and Hazel are helping you sift through the red flags. This is
they
beautiful.
sure are. They're so great at that. And honestly, if Remi doesn't like someone, it is a red flag because she loves everybody.
100%. They know. And I trust them implicitly. If you come into my home and my dogs don't like you, I'm like, guess you got to go. Like, they have the best intuition.
Also, too, like, there was a moment in my dating life where I was in an abusive relationship, and Remi was my main concern. She was the reason that I couldn't get out. And so I really sympathize with people when they're in situations like that. And I remember I got on like a red eye. This is all at the same time as Bobby's winning Dancing with the Stars. And we're about to go home for Thanksgiving break. And I get on a red eye with Remi. This is back when she used to be able to fly, because she was my emotional support animal for a really long time. I had some really bad mental health problems. And she was a great flyer, by the way. Like, never made a peep. Passed out on my lap. She was wonderful. But she flew home with me, and I had to leave her with my parents for 3 weeks so I could go back and get out of my situation. It's the longest her and I have ever been apart from each other.
Wow.
And it was huge, because me being able to take her to my parents was the only thing that allowed me to get out of that relationship, because she mattered to me more than I was even picturing myself in that moment.
Right. Gosh, it sounds like, you have told me that your bond is strong, and clearly we've already articulated that, but you guys have really been through it together.
We really have. She's been through every moment. I often say, I'm like, I really have to get married at some point because she has to be at my wedding. That's the only requirement I have. She's
the maid of honor.
She is. She will be there wherever I am. So
it's gonna make me cry. It's so beautiful.
This has to happen. And Hazel will be there too, but I don't know that Hazel will want to be there. So
she's gonna be like, no, thank you.
Yeah, she's like, I'll stay home for this one.
She's like, I'm sending you my thoughts and prayers. I have said it once, and I will say it again. The dog that you have in your 20s through all of your dating and your heart breaks and just like growing up and learning about yourself. Like there is no stronger bond than that. You guys are a testament to that for sure.
No, there really isn't. And I really cannot possibly fathom the day that she's no longer here. It breaks my heart even thinking that that's a possibility. So we like to think that she is not even halfway there yet.
No, she has got decades ahead of her.
Yes, she might be the one dog that lives forever.
We are going to bet on it. All right, we are going to transition to our Paw in Order, and we'll be right back. All right, we are back with Paw in Order, where I tell you things that I would not do with my own pets as a veterinarian. Number one on the docket for today is I would never give my dog a pill without putting something around the pill. A lot of people will shove it down their throats or just stick it in their mouth. And my friend actually just took a pill, laid down, and the pill sort of burnt a hole into her esophagus, which humans too, we should always remember, like drink with lots of water, take with food, because if those pills or tablets get stuck in your esophagus, they can cause serious issues.
No, you're putting on my fears that I already have. You should see me take my all my supplements I take every day. I'm like throwing my head back because I don't like to swallow it.
The Paw in Order segment is very anxiety-inducing. I'm not going to lie.
I'm stressed.
But no, it's really important. There's great things like pill pockets that you can get on Amazon. I also really like American craft cheese singles. I mean, you can get really any kind of cheese singles, but
I always cut up little cheese cubes and I'll shove it in there.
Yeah, cheese, wrap it in lunch meat, just something to coat it. And if you have to give your dog the pill, like just the plain pill, make sure you like squirt some water into their mouth afterwards, because I've seen it end up really badly.
Oh, that's a great tip. I would have never known that actually was. I just always did because that's the only way I can get her to take it, but that makes sense.
It's a real thing. Okay, number two, this goes back to earlier, but I would not take my pet to the vet and not keep them on their leash or in their carrier. And this obviously goes for the kitty that ran away in the parking lot. A lot of cat owners especially will walk into the clinic holding their cats. I see a lot of pillowcases, like kitties tucked into pillowcases.
Those are always so crazy to me.
Which is very cute. And honestly, if like you're not, it's better than just like holding your cat, I suppose. But I am a big proponent of putting them in a carrier or the backpack, having them zipped up, because them getting loose is horrible. And then even inside the clinic, like we have dogs and cats and people and all these things. And I've seen fights break out in the clinic between the pets. So just keeping them on the leash, no matter how good your dog is, that doesn't mean that like everybody else's pet wants to be greeted.
Yes. You know, with Hazel, she's really gotten very curious of the outside. So even when I let my dog out, I have to be like a guard to the door and say, you cannot come outside. There's camera footage of me running, being outside, and she peeks her head out because I didn't think this was going to be a thing. And I come like scrambling pig wrestler and get her back inside because I'm like, you leave, I'm never going to find you again.
It's like WWE SmackDown.
Yes.
Like, I'm coming for you.
I do have she'll go on road trips and she roams the car. She's so great at road trips, which is funny. Most cats aren't, but she loves them. And I put on a breakaway collar with an Apple tag just in case, because at the very least I can find a path where she might have gone.
I love that. You're a great owner.
I try to be. I'm also kind of a helicopter owner.
Well, the other thing you could get her that I think is so cute if she really wants to go outside is the catio. Have you ever seen those? They're like little outdoor.
Dr. Josie, I'm about to. I can't believe I'm admitting this. I'm about to get. So I have a deck at my house, and I'm looking into estimates to get it all closed in so that she can start going outside.
This is amazing. This is not a catio. This is a penthouse.
Yep. I'm like, you get more than that. We're gonna step this up a notch. You had 8 years of who knows what. So
I love that. She's gone from hoarding to living the dream.
She is.
Okay, please send pictures when that takes place. I want to see. All right, last but not least, I would never get a pet off of Facebook or Craigslist. And this brings me back to, I did an episode with Taryn not too long ago, and she got one of her dogs off of Craigslist. I am not knocking her. I'm just saying that can be very dangerous. A, I don't want any of my listeners to get taken, but also B, a lot of times those are backyard breeders that are breeding and then probably not doing the most ethical breeding practices and then selling puppies and dogs to make money, and we don't want to support backyard breeders.
Yeah, I'm with you, Dr. Josie. I'm a huge advocate of rescuing, and if you want any particular breed, you can find it in a shelter, I promise you.
Yeah, you know what? That's such a great point. Even here in Nashville, I do a lot of work with Wags and Walks, and we get standard poodles, golden retrievers, Labradors, like all the purebreds are coming through the shelters. So if you are hell-bent on having a purebred, I'm not going to judge you. I support you, but make sure you check your shelters first. And then if you absolutely want to go to a breeder, make sure they're reputable.
Mm-hmm. And for sure, I will tell you, like, I've had so many friends who've tried to get Remi a likes because she is a great dog.
Mm-hmm.
And it never works out because I often tell them the biggest characteristic of her is that she's a rescue.
Exactly.
And so much of that comes from appreciation and understanding that she was saved. So
1,000,000%. I say, like, those little trust fund babies that come from the breeders, they do not know what it's like to live on the streets.
they do not.
So the street dogs are where it's at, and they're usually the healthiest. So yeah, I mean, I could go on and on. All right. Well, that really wraps up our episode for the day. Thank you so much for coming on.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
You have your own podcast. Can you remind me what it's called again?
It's called Take This Personally.
Take This Personally.
Yeah. Speaking of Wags and Walks, I had the founder on recently of
Catherine.
Wags and Walks Nashville.
She's
we
amazing.
talked all about like the animal and rescue crisis that's happening right now. It's really sad.
She's like the queen dog lady of Nashville.
She is. And it's just, like, I say sad because it's heartbreaking, but it's also just hopeful too at the same time that there's a lot of people that are doing some awesome work.
Yeah, it definitely restores your faith in humanity.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. Well, thank you so much for coming on. I appreciate having you. I love your pets, even though like it kind of broke out into a little bit of World War III in here.
Welcome to my life. This is the zoo.
This is
I did text you and say I'm bringing the zoo.
You did. And I was like, bring them. We are going out with a bang. And actually, this is very fitting because this is our final episode of season 2, which has gone by so quickly. I have had the best time. At the end of season 1, I was like, gosh, I can't believe it. And now we're already at the end of season 2. And it's going to be a pretty short break. We're already working on season 3. So don't worry, we will be back. And in the meantime, be sure that you are subscribing, reviewing, rating, doing all those important things that make this podcast successful. And as always, you can find me on Instagram at Dr. Josie Vet. Send me your questions. Feel free to DM me. And I can't wait to talk to you guys soon.